Hey guys, and welcome to another First Impressions video, the video game series in which we look at a recently released game and I give you my first thoughts and impressions on it. Today's game, and I'm going to get this wrong, is WunderWaffe, and it's a city builder mining game where you basically try and build an underground sort of base where you can build out and do all your operations and start missions and things. It's really, really in depth and very, very good. I've really enjoyed my time on it. Once I sort of knew what I was doing, the tutorial isn't the best, but we'll get into that later. First, we'll look at the options and see what's available, and then we'll jump into the game and I'll give you my first thoughts and impressions. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into it. Alright then, the options. I'm not going to lie, they're a bit unfinished, and I'll explain why I feel like that in a bit. You've got gameplay. You do have edge scrolling, beginner guide, and language. Now, the edge scrolling is incredibly sensitive, which doesn't help when the bottom bar is so close to the bottom of the screen. Maybe raising it, and you'll see this in the game, but maybe raising it up a little bit so that you don't go to press on an option and end up scrolling all the way down if you have edge scrolling on, which I do because I find it really kind of useful if it's done right. The beginner guide is really nice and handy, and it does explain things well. However, it disappears, which means if you don't catch, or if you forget, like if you're like me and are very easily forgetting what it just told you to do, it doesn't appear like there's a way to bring it back up. There's no help guide, there's no question mark in the corner. Once you've read it, that's it. So good luck trying to figure out what it wanted you to do, and good luck figuring out what the hell the game is doing. It took me about 10 minutes before I figured out how to get into the first part of the game. So whilst the beginner guide itself is good, its implementation is bad. Graphics options. Now this is you don't need a lot of graphics on this, but they've got a lot of graphics options, which is really nice. Like the textures are really good, but it's essentially a 2D game, 2.5D game, where you've got really nice graphics, but they're very small as you go through and look for everything. Like it's a very good looking game, but it's a very dark and dingy game because you're tunneling underground. It's not, you know, it's not sunshines and rainbows. But you do get texture quality, you get VSync, or you can limit your FPS, you get full screen on or off, you get AA, you get visual, you get shadows, shading, adjust brightness. Now the only thing, or the reason why I say this is unfinished, is because the border here looks like it's just kind of been slapped on. And then here with the resolution, it goes to the bog standard font when everything else is in this sort of very stylized font for everything else. Like it just looks out of place, and I'm guessing, yeah, the languages are exactly the same. So I feel like maybe they could either stylize it or do something with it instead of just having it tacked on. It looks unfinished, it looks scruffy, it looks messy. It's purely a subjective thing. It's functional, it's just I don't like the way it looks personally. You've got your volumes here, you've got master, music and sound, and everything is at 100%, so you're probably going to want to turn those down a little bit. But yeah, overall, very functional menu. It's got a lot in it, looks really good. I just feel like it could be brushed up a little bit and made to look better. Let's jump into the game. We'll jump into my save that I've got going, and we will discuss all the different things you can do and explain what I like and what I don't like about it. Let's jump into it. Okay, so we are in the game. Now this is a mess. And it's a mess because I was trying to figure out what the hell you were supposed to do, because I clicked through the tutorial, and in clicking through the tutorial, skim read it, got the gist of how you build stuff and things. I actually missed what it wanted me to build first in order to unlock the ability to build more buildings. So I was tunneling for ages, tunneling down, went through loads of resources. Like this save is just a mess. We are using maximum power and everything's just gone wrong. But that's what I mean. Like there's no way of bringing up the the message that it wanted you to do. You can see the way that we are going, and you can send out your resources, map of war and stuff as you go. You've got your number of workers, you've got the number of resources, the research points, your power, and the amount of water you've got. As you can see, we are losing power and we are losing water quite rapidly. You've got your build menu down here, and this is what I mean. Like, it's so close to the bottom that just if I scroll too much, it sends me all the way down. It would be very easily fixed if they just lifted it a little bit. If you're going to have edge scrolling on your game, make it so that the very bottom of the menu isn't at the very bottom of the screen, because it makes it really difficult to make use of the edge scrolling without interfering with trying to build and do stuff. The amount of times that it sent me all over the place when all I wanted to do was click on an option, it's so very sensitive. Raise it up a little bit. That's all you got to do, is just raise it a couple of mil, just so that there's a bit of the edge at the bottom, so that when you're on the options, you don't scroll all the way down. That being said, you have a number of things that you can build here, and the more buildings and things that you construct, the more things you will have available for you to continue that, right? So, for example, if you build a mine, it will say what you need and what you don't have. As you can see, we've got no energy, no water, and you've got lifts. The way that lifts work is you build a lift at the top in a tunnel, and then you go downwards, and that's how the lift works. And you can build tunnels horizontally to get where you need to go. As you can see, I've made a nice big waste here. It doesn't look like there's a way that you can demolish anything, which is a bit weird. Normally in these games you can demolish a tunnel to make it so that you can slot something in that space, but it seems like once you've done that, you can't undo it. I might be wrong, but I haven't seen anything that allows me to demolish, which is a bit of a shame, because these are using a lot of the power, right? Because they've got to be lit. If I wasn't using all these tunnels, I would have a lot more power to play with. If we look at power here, I've got no power or anything to be able to build anything with. So this is essentially a non-starter until I get the next transport, which will give me loads of materials to work with. But again, with no power and no water, this save is basically dead on arrival. Each thing that you build, you will require workers, but obviously I don't have any. What you can do is you can go to your workers here and you can decrease them by 1. So at least you can get it working, even though it's going to be at very, very minimal capacity, right? And then you build out, and you've got different things. You've got new objectives to do. But again, if you're using the beginner guide or whatever, those objectives, once they're gone, they're gone. So you can't go out of your way to do that. You do have a research tree, and the research tree is here. Lost it there for a second. As you can see, you've got all the things here that we have, and the materials that they actually require. And this is where you have to go down. You've got to build mines and get people to mine the stuff so that you can continue with your research tree, which is rather extensive. You've got your tier 2 here. There's lots of things to build and grow out and make just kind of awesome, and make this just huge area into a massive base to be reckoned with. Again, the game does look incredibly pretty. The textures are really good. You can zoom all the way in and see how everything sort of works on a surface level, which is kind of nice. But it is just sort of a bog standard city builder that is designed more for your veteran players, people that are used to this sort of game, that know sort of how everything works to start researching things. I really like it. I think it looks absolutely incredible. I just wish that there was a way to bring up what it is you need to do, right? So you got center front, you got the resource thingy. So if we choose that, we've got 30, and we can send it out. We can send it to there, I guess. Yeah, sending it to the front. And that will send that out. But it would be nice if it had the objectives in a bringable up menu. Just somewhere down here, maybe a question mark somewhere on the screen that you can click, and it will bring up the previous objective that it gave you to do for the beginner tutorial, just to help those new players out. Reading it once and expecting you to just know it isn't really good enough. There's no checklist or anything, but I like this game a lot. I think this game is incredibly fun. It looks fantastic. It's very detailed, and I like it a lot. So there you go. This is WunderWaffe, I think. It's on Steam. It came out on the 10th of October. Let me know in those comments down below what you think, and I shall see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.